Podcast.
We are opening a new cloud region here in Mexico, in Querétaro. It is a big step in bringing our technology to Mexico in the country. We are also announcing as part of that an investment plan to train 1 million people here in the country so that they can learn the technology and also use it to build new applications and modernize technology for companies and the government. For us, just as an organization, for ourselves, is not just a market in which we bring our technology to companies, but we also have engineering. For example, our technical support center, our technical account management globals team is based here in Mexico. And it's because of the talent we see in the engineering community and particularly the younger people who are coming out of universities. What we see a lot of companies wanting to do is using the technical skills of the students graduating from university in computer science, for example, to then build the next generation of technology for them. We are hoping that we bring two groups of people. Some of them will be engineers who want to learn the new thing, AI, but also people who are not necessarily technical, because our AI tools are making things much simpler for people, so you don't have to be a real engineer.
Bienvenidos al Rodcast, conociendo las personalidades detrás de los negocios con Rodrigo Pacheco.
Estoy muy contento en esta ocasión porque tengo el privilegio de entrevistar a Thomas Kurian. Él es el CEO de Google Cloud, que por sí misma Google Cloud es una empresa enorme con unos resultados extraordinarios y un anuncio muy importante en México. Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are the details of the announcement today in Mexico, and what the importance of the announcement?
We are opening a new cloud region here in Mexico, in Querétaro. It is a big step in bringing our technology to Mexico in the country. We are also announcing as part of that an investment plan to train 1 million people here in the country so that they can learn the technology and also use it to build new applications and modernize technology for companies and the government. Finally, we've done studies that show that between now and 2030, over the next 5 years, this big new cloud region can expand the economy of Mexico significantly, 226 billion pesos, which is a continued commitment from Google. We've been in Mexico, as you know, for a long time, 19 years now, and it's a continued commitment to expand our presence here in the country.
It's very important. So the $11 billion should be the outcome in terms of the economy until 2030. It's besides the investment on the cloud region of the infrastructure. What is a region? Because I know what it is, but maybe it's very useful that you please explain what is the difference between a data center and a region.
A region for us consists of multiple data centers. Each data center is called a zone. And so they are then connected together with a high-speed network so that you can build an application and a system that works across multiple data centers. And the reason is it gives you better reliability, it gives you better security. And so our region is actually not one data center, it's a collection of data centers.
Exactly. And there are 40 regions of Google Cloud around the world?
This is a 41st, yes.
41st, yeah. And what is the importance in terms of, because talking about 41 regions now, the Mexican one, what is the size in terms of the different sizes of regions, or all are the same?
Almost all our regions have standard configurations, in terms of both the design of them and then the services we offer them. Because many companies here in Mexico want to sell, like Mercado Libre, for example, as a customer. They are in many different parts of the world, including in different parts of Latin America. They want to build services that work consistently across our regions. So our regions are fairly standard in configuration.
In Latin America, Brazil and Mexico are the only regions, or you have another country?
We also have Chile.
Chile. Oh, that's very interesting.
for services out of Chile.
What is the challenge in terms of the infrastructure? Because energy is a big issue in this, in terms of having renewables. We have seen many deals in terms of nuclear energy. In the terms of Mexico, what is the main challenge in terms of energy, or how could you face it?
We have many different pieces that go to make a data center or a cloud region. There is, obviously we need space to put the buildings in. We have to deploy renewable energy and resilient. Many times when you look at renewable energy, there are sources like solar and hydroelectric and other things, but because the region needs to operate 7 by 24, we also have to have other redundant sources of energy. So we work through many of those solutions. We need to deploy very low latency fiber network, not just to connect the region and the data centers together, but also to connect them to the rest of the world. So to connect to our backbone network, for example. And so these are things we do, and we've had people working on this. We have been under development for a couple of years now. So we are super excited today to bring it to everybody.
Yeah, it's very important for Mexico because also it's the infrastructure of the present and the future, right? Because AI, etc. Now, in the Mexican region that you're announcing today, what is the percentage in terms of AI? Because uh, business in Mexico needs cloud just for the normal business process. But what about the Gen AI, and what is going to be the role in the Mexican region?
AI is being used by many companies that we do business with in Mexico, from banks to insurance companies to retailers, etc. AI, for example, is being used to help retailers provide consumers the ability to find products easily, to search and find products, to improve customer service. For example, we have programs at Liverpool, FEMSA, a number of them. We also are supporting new fintechs to build applications in financial services. We have work going on with Banorte, for example. So our work spans this, and many organizations are starting to use AI to improve productivity internally, to streamline their internal processes, to serve customers better. And we already have them using these AI services in our other regions. Now you can use them here too.
And the foundation model is going to be in the Mexican region, or it goes to the US, could probably.
Our foundation models are, we roll it out. Typically, after a region is launched, within a few months, we bring the foundation model to the country. Our foundation model is called Gemini. And so we have a lot of customers interested in using it, and you will see us bring it here too.
What are you seeing in Mexico in terms of, usually I was listening a conference of you, and you were saying we're transitioning from IT initiatives in terms of going to the cloud and Gen AI now to business initiatives from the point of view of business. How are you seeing the Mexican landscape in terms of is IT departments, or the CEO or someone on the upper management are saying we need to go into the cloud in order to have Gen AI and all the solutions?
We see both patterns. In some companies, they start with, I need to modernize my IT systems, so I should go, typically led by a CIO or CTO. In other companies, we are seeing the head of customer service, the head of e-commerce, the head of financial, regulation. For example, there are financial institutions looking at using AI to improve regulatory reporting and fraud detection, for example. There are people using it in a back office to streamline the back office, customer help desk, internal help desk for employees, etc. Those tend to be driven by the line of business. And so we see both patterns going on. In some of the leading companies here in Mexico, we meet with the CEOs, and they are very interested in using AI because they think it's a way to take their company forward and to leapfrog the competition. So see that too.
Would you say that the GPUs are going to eat all the processing? Because now we're seeing the Gen AI it's a transversal process, so it's going to be all the processes, I guess, in a couple of years? Or what is your vision in terms of that?
We continue to make our models extremely efficient. We can run our models even on a small phone now. So all to train a model, you still need, accelerator chips. But increasingly, we are seeing our models becoming smaller and smaller while maintaining super high quality. And so more and more, we see the combination of a GPU or a TPU, which is our accelerator, plus a traditional compute processor. And we see a lot of applications being built that span both.
What would you say is the take that a country like Mexico, which is an emerging country, a big country, one of the 20 biggest economies, what should we cut in terms of the mindset as a country in order to be take advantage of this new way of technology and AI?
Great question. In Mexico, for us, just as an organization for ourselves, is not just a market in which we bring our technology to companies, but we also have engineering. For example, our technical support center, our technical account management globals team is based here in Mexico. And it's because of the talent we see in the engineering community and particularly the younger people who are coming out of universities. What we see a lot of companies wanting to do is using the technical skills of the students graduating from university in computer science, for example, to then build the next generation of technology for them. And the benefit you now have is the same AI that sits underneath Google search or under Google Maps is now available to these customers. So we see companies now starting to reimagine. And when I say reimagine, for example, if you're talking about customer service, how can you allow a customer on WhatsApp to talk to your team, but not talking always to a human, because sometimes in the day, they may not be people at the call center, and you can still chat, but it's answered by an AI system. And the AI system can be extremely accurate in answering questions, helping customers. So that's an example of things we're seeing. We see companies using it, for example, to help people buy things, assisted shopping. If you want to return something, instead of having to talk to a person, you can have a system answer your questions, help you figure out how to return something if you want to. All of these are examples of things that new companies are jumping on and learning how to do with AI. To do AI well, you need both the technology, which we are bringing, but also the expertise. And the opportunity we see from Mexico is that your engineering student population is learning all of this new technology. That's why we're investing in 1 million people to get certified. I think it gives the opportunity to leapfrog.
Would you say that, and talking about leapfrog, you need to be an engineer to be part of these million persons that are going to be prepared in terms of the certification, or we should imagine other ways of curriculum and education?
It's a great question. Some of the people will want we are hoping that we bring two groups of people. Some of them will be engineers who want to learn the new thing, AI, but also people who are not necessarily technical, because our AI tools are making things much simpler for people. So you don't have to be a real engineer. For example, there are lots of people who are not hardcore engineers using our AI platform, new systems, because AI can simplify technology.
Exactly. And how far is, for example, that I can talk to OK Google in order to have Gen AI and, for example, make the shopping experience different, or maybe just different interactions that OK Google as a virtual assistant can have with my home or other aspects of the everyday life?
We have a lot of people doing it. I mean, we have people integrating the personal, systems that they have, whether it's their own home control system, their personal calendar, the meetings, all of those things, because in many cases they want certain time of the day, they want the AI agent to manage that. And in other cases, they also wanted to help them buy things better, find travel for them better, help them decide, when they're planning a trip, which hotel, etc., to go to. We see these personal agents becoming extremely useful, and companies are now building these personal agents to assist people using our platform.
And you are an expert, obviously, in the cloud since long time ago. How fast is the rate of change at this particular moment? Because 2 years ago, when Gen AI arrived for the consumer in a big sense, things have been accelerating. How are you seeing the rate of change and the cloud in terms of this new aspect in terms of Gen AI?
The rate of change has really picked up. I think it has changed for three reasons. First, I think companies are finding that technology can really help them both improve their top line, meaning grow revenue, reach customers better, provide better customer service, but also improve their internal efficiency. So the first thing companies are seeing is there's an advantage to technology. Second, they see that AI can really help them advance. And it's, the thing that's driving it is cloud makes AI and cloud makes technology easy to access. Instead of having to learn how to operate and manage very complex machines like GPUs, as you mentioned, you can just simply use the functionality. And so cloud is about simplifying it and making technology much easier accessible. So all three, the demand, the recognition that technology can differentiate, and the simplification that cloud and AI provides, all of them are driving growth.
Eh, What would you say is the right mental framework? Because, for example, if we think in the electricity at the end of the 19th century, companies tend to think in terms of steam engines, and they didn't realize that you have electricity engines. So now we have this new technology, and we want to leapfrog and have the right mental framework. What could be that in terms of how to understand this world that is configurating outside with Gen AI? And
It's a great question. The way we suggest companies think about it is to think of each role in the company and have a digital agent that represents and assists people in that role. So if you're in a marketing department and there are many people using our tools for marketing to create advertising, to create email campaigns, think of it as a digital marketer. If you're in a hospital, think of it as a digital nurse. A digital nurse can help a nurse write instructions for patients. It can transcribe summary. It can answer the questions from the patient after the patient has left the hospital. Digital customer service, even have people who are using it for designing products. So think of it as a digital product design or product engineer. And so the way to think about AI is to think of each role in your company, particularly the ones that are important, and think of a digital person that can assist people in that role.
and how is the management of that? Because, for example, I think that the CFO, anyone in a big position, already manage different teams, but now your team is an LLM or some system. So what that brings in order to have the right framework to manage these new systems, because you have many teams now. Maybe before you have 5, but now you have 10 geniuses helping you in every different aspects.
First of all, to give companies comfort in using these tools, the first thing we do is in the platform that we offer, we ensure that their data remains private, it's secure, and there's no risk being introduced. We also give them safety controls and responsibility controls so that when they're using these models, they can control how the models behave, etc. So that's number one, so that they can be confident they can use it while depending on safety and responsibility controls. Second, we give them controls on expense, like how you can control the budget you spend on the models. And we give models of different sizes so that people can choose the most efficient one for their needs. So that's the second one. Third one, we have done work. I mean, if you look globally with Accenture as an example, who's a partner of ours, we have taken 45% of the projects we've done in the Fortune 500, which are the largest customers, from pilot into production. And as part of that, we've come up with metrics to measure, for example, if you're measuring productivity, or if you're measuring revenue growth, or if you're improving online conversion growth, we provide metrics on how to measure and think about it. So CFOs, business leaders, CEOs can think about, if I'm making this investment and managing this team in the same way that you manage people, you can also think about how to measure their performance.
Exactly. And then you manage people with these LLMs, so that will gonna help. Now, I have not seen any, and I was reading in your conference, there is not so much examples of governments that are applying this technology. Have you seen some, for example, in terms of any government around the world?
We have got lots of projects going on with governments. I'll give you 3-4 examples. With the entire UK government, we've taken all their websites, instrumented that with our search and conversation, so that when people go, they can find information much more easily. Like, for example, if I'm traveling to the UK, do I need a visa? How long and where do I need to apply for it? Do I need a driver's license to drive in the UK? So we provided that, and they're very happy with the results. Secondly, in the United States, with Minnesota, for example, one of the states, the reason that state is important is there are 13 people speaking 13 different languages in that state.
Well,
And so we help the Department of Motor Vehicles, which administers driver's licenses, to be able to use our AI system to answer questions, help people in different languages. Third example is the work we've done with a couple of different states in the United States to use our AI tools for cybersecurity. New York, for example, is using AI to protect their own internal environments. And then here we're working with the federal audit system, for example, to improve the way that they can do audits and compliance reporting. So there's lots of different projects going on. National health services in different countries are using us to assist doctors and patients in care delivery. And it's a very exciting time for the governments because they can also digitize a lot of the paperwork.
yeah, exactly. And the scale in the attention, for example, in the medicine is very important. Now, what could you say is the prompt, if we can say about that, to a government in order to have a good outcome? Because I already asked you about Mexico as a country. Education is the name of the game. You're going to train or certify 1 million persons. That's very important. But from the point of view of the government, if you are talking like a prompt, so please, I need this help. What could be the prompt?
I think it's 2 or 3 things that we've seen in our work with governments. One is to offer digital services to citizens and how to digitize it. For example, we have work going on in many countries to automate small business loans, for example, to improve lending. The process of applying for it, to automate the approvals, to streamline that, because it helps the economy, right? So one is how to automate citizen services. The second is in specific departments of the government, the way to streamline and offer customer service. And when I say customer service, if you think of the tax department, everybody files taxes on the same day. They all want to know when they will get the return.
Yeah.
And it's not possible to answer all those questions with just hiring people, because you would have to hire a huge number of people to answer those questions. So second is to speed up and simplify response to customer questions and inquiries. Third one is to improve efficiency. And when we say improve efficiency, we've helped many countries and governments go completely paperless. And when they go paperless, it is not just the impact on the environment and streamlining things, but it's also the speed with which they can provide answers to, specific processes internally. So it's about efficiency of the processes within the government, citizen services, and the ability to improve how they respond, particularly, for example, disaster relief. When you heard about the tragedy in Hawaii some time ago, we put our customer service system there. It's an AI system to help people find relatives who are lost in the fire, to find where they could go to get supplies and things like that. So these are times when they need a lot of answers very quickly. So all of these are examples of things we're doing.
It's very interesting. Now, what would you say is the differentiation of Google Cloud with the other hyperscalers? Because suddenly we have the technology, as you were saying, we can access a lot of systems now. What could be the difference between Google and the others?
I'll just touch on a couple of areas to illustrate. One, in AI, the quality of our model is extremely high, and we see that from many, many companies. When I say the quality, think of you calling a bank and asking a question like, tell me my bank balance. And you have an AI system assisting you. You need the answer to be correct 100% of the time. And if you get the answer wrong, it could be an issue.
Yeah.
Same thing, for example, if you're assisting a nurse or a doctor, you want to make sure the answers are correct. There's a lot of technology underneath our model for grounding, factuality, advanced reasoning that makes it extremely accurate in providing responses. So that's an example of difference between what we do. It's not just about the model, but also the services that surround it. Similarly, if you look at the work we do in cybersecurity, for example, we've integrated 2 or 3 different pieces into a solution that a customer can use. One is to look at all the threats happening around the world so that you can understand what threats may be occurring. And we have very advanced knowledge of that because our Chrome browser is very widely used. And we also have a team called Mandiant, which are experts in collecting intelligence on threats. We then allow you to compare that with your environment to see of all the threats, which one may affect me, because not all of them are going to affect you. We can also show you how somebody is going to get in. Because the one thing to know there's a threat and that it may affect you, but then you go, which door do I close to protect myself? We can show you that and we can help you resolve it. All of that we are now assisting with AI. AI can help you prioritize. AI can show you that attack path. AI can show you how to lock the door, if you will. All these pieces are now being used in large scale. These are examples. The other providers are fine companies, but they don't offer some of these capabilities.
How could change your life in the last years in terms of your everyday use of Gen AI? How is your personal experience?
I use it in a variety of different ways. I use it to create documents and slide presentations, for example. AI can be used to generate images. They can write the text of these documents and presentations. I use it when I do software engineering reviews with teams to look at code. I use it to do things which, for instance, we are testing something where when you're in a meeting, you can use the tool to generate summaries of things. And we also, sometimes I work with the teams to actually test new capability. For example, to streamline, for example, how fast when you talk to an agent, sometimes the agent waits for the human to finish. It feels unnatural because when people talk, they talk both at the same time sometimes. So there's also lots of things that I'm testing with our teams on how to make the systems easier to use and more natural so that it feels much more natural for people to interact with.
More human-like. And how far do you think is going to be the day that your personal agenda, you're traveling all over the world, having a lot of meetings, interviews like this one, is going to be managed by an AI assistant that you don't have, that it does it just by itself?
We are working on a solution to have people have a assistant that can manage their calendar, can help them schedule meetings, can prioritize what they need to pay attention to, because many busy people get a lot of email, and which one is the one I pay attention to. These are all things that I think we want to offer everybody. Today senior people have assistants. The more junior people in the organization who are just as important don't have that. And we're working on a technology to essentially provide a digital assistant for every person.
We'll have your assistants pretty soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much
For being here and your great news for Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pues aquí escuchamos a Thomas Kurian, el CEO de Google Cloud, una empresa que, por cierto, tiene ingresos de más de $30 mil millones. Eso nos da una dimensión de lo que esto implica. Así que, bueno, pues seguimos con más aquí en el Rodcast y, por supuesto, aquí en Imagen Empresarial.
Los podcasts son como del 2019. Lo de hoy es escuchar el Rodcast con Rodrigo Pacheco.
Esta es una producción de Excelsior Podcast. Derechos reservados. México 2024.